Just got done reading a clickbait article stating that the Buffalo Bills would be considering moving away from center Mitch Morse. And I think that is so far from the truth, but it really spurred the idea for this video as to which players the Buffalo Bills may consider actually moving away from. But welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. We need to discuss the players on this team that I think the Buffalo Bills might consider parting ways from or potentially signing a long term. And the first player that I want to discuss here is actually Tre White. Now, Tre White is a great player, but he's coming off two back-to-back injuries, in Achilles and ACL. And also you look at the history of Sean McDermott and his ability to draft and develop cornerbacks dating all the way back to Josh Norman and the Carolina Panthers. Sean McDermott clearly knows cornerbacks at the back of his hand, and I think we could find and supplement the loss of Tre White again in the NFL draft. I mean, even look at Tre White being selected 27th overall. Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford, Taron Johnson, finding people in cornerbacks very, very late in the draft, or even Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, reinstilling their careers. I mean, we got them for a very reasonable price in free agency to come here, and we developed them and we made them the best players that they can be. And I think partially it boils down to knowing what players, what cornerbacks actually fit Sean McDermott's scheme. And fortunately for me, I actually won Tim Horton's Coffee Question of the Week years ago, and I was able to ask Sean McDermott a question. And it was really surrounding this same subject because I saw what he did with Josh Norman, drafting him in the 6th, 7th round or whatever it was. And I just wanted to see, what is the most important skill set of a cornerback? And funny enough, Sean McDermott said it's their transition step to the football, how quickly they could break on the ball. And whether you look at Rasul Douglas, Tre White, Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford, Taron Johnson, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, everyone that we have brought in here, I've always taken notice of that to see how fast of a transition step that they ultimately have. And I think it really boils down to what Sean McDermott's philosophy is on defense. Kind of playing a little bit soft, playing a little bit of zone, playing off, reading the eyes of the quarterback and the wide receiver, and trying to jump routes and create plays. And sure enough, that's something that we see a lot of. But getting back to Tre White and why I think the Buffalo Bills may consider just moving on from Tre White, potentially trading him, it's because A, we can find another cornerback in the NFL draft and just ball out of control. I trust that Sean McDermott has the eye for talent at the DB position. Plus, you look at Rasul Douglas that we have here. You look at Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford, both of those guys under rookie contracts. So, we're not going to be saving much if we get rid of them. And I think we could just maybe trade Tre White, get an additional draft pick, draft another cornerback. And, considering this upcoming year, I think it's going to be a transition year for Tre White again. Coming off an ACL, an Achilles, I don't think he's going to hit the ground running in 2024. I think it could be a similar sort of story like Von Miller, where we're sitting there halfway through the season or more, wondering when we're going to see the old Tre White. So if we get rid of Tre White right now, although it might not have the highest value, we could still get a draft pick, whether it's a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick. And I trust that Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane are going to find another future cornerback on this team. Now, the other way we can save cap space instead of cutting a player is actually re-signing Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas in this upcoming season, getting roughly $6 million. And I think if he makes the roster, which he's definitely going to, he makes another $2 million. So it's around a $9 million cap hit. So if we can re-sign Rasul Douglas to a long-term deal, it should ultimately help us out with the cap space. And I know my previous video, yesterday's video, NFL did just up the salary cap by $30 million, but we still need to restructure things. We still need to make moves to free up some additional cap space. Now, kind of going back to Mitch Morse and what spurred this idea, Mitch Morse is the starting center on this offensive line. The value of Mitch Morse, you need to have that veteran presence in front of Josh Allen. He's making our franchise quarterback, our franchise Josh Allen, extra comfortable, getting this lined up properly so there's no miscues. We're not getting Josh Allen hurt. but the value of Mitch Morse is absolutely insane. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't consider building for the future at that position, maybe drafting a player and just solidifying that backup role. But to me, Mitch Morse is not on the radar to part ways from. Next player on my list is Stefon Diggs. Diggs, I mean, look at it, right? Stefon Diggs being double covered, getting eliminated, us not really necessarily having another option opposite of Stefon Diggs. There are rumors that Gabe Davis is going to be signing with the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency or other teams. So we have to see what happens there. But just kind of looking at the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, they've done well without Tyreek Hill. They've transitioned away from Tyreek Hill. They've transitioned away from having a true number one wide receiver on that team. They have Travis Kelce. We have Dalton Kincaid. So maybe the Bills do decide to part ways with Stefon Diggs, get additional draft picks in a trade, not have a true number one wide receiver, rely on the fact that Josh Allen has progressed due to Stefon Diggs coming here to Buffalo. And I think if it wasn't for Stefon Diggs and other players on our team, I don't think Josh Allen would be where he's at. So we definitely have to give Stefon Diggs a ton of credit for helping progress this offense, helping progress Josh Allen. But I think we're at a point now where we need to start allocating our money wisely. And Stefon Diggs, still a great wide receiver, but I think we could make do without having Stefon Diggs, having two wide receivers on the outside. I think we're pretty much set in the interior with Deontay Hardy, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and I believe we're going to get the most out of Deontay Hardy this year too. We can see him on the outside as well. But Stefon Diggs, to me, is definitely a player the Bills probably should be considering parting ways from. Now, other players on this team with high bloated salaries, you could take a look at Matt Milano, but Matt Milano, to me, is not a player that we should consider getting away from. Tyrell Dotson, a free agent. You look at last year and what ultimately happened, not having a healthy Matt Milano, not having a healthy Terrell Bernard in that final game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, this is just tough. And we got Baylon Spector, who was hurt, but Dorian Williams is still here too. So I think Matt Milano is definitely a crucial piece for the Buffalo Bills, without a doubt. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Mitch Morse, we cannot move away from Mitch Morse. Even Matt Milano, I think we're not moving away from. Now the debate comes like Tre White, I think is definitely a possibility. And I just think that would make a lot more sense, considering that we could find another cornerback late in the NFL draft. But I appreciate you guys all so much. Make sure you hit like, subscribe. 80% of you are not subscribed. So if you want to support me and my efforts, keeping videos like this coming to you, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you guys all so much. Check the links in the description too. And go Bills.